Hello and welcome to episode 1 of my podcast Pocket Giraffe Knits. I am Rachel. The woofing in the background is my dog Izzy, who will be my co-host. And pull up a chair, grab a cuppa, and I will try not to keep you too long while I share on my yarny adventures. I am going to give you a warning. My husband is a bricklayer, or was a bricklayer. He now works in an office. My father-in-law is, and I swear like a sailor. I'm really sorry. If that's not your sort of thing, as much as I would try and contain myself, it is part of my everyday language. So I do apologise if that in any way offends you. And if it does, this might not be the place for you. But thanks for giving me a go, and I really appreciate you popping by. You can find me on Ravelry as Pocket Giraffe and on Instagram as Pocket Giraffe Knits, all one word. I will try and be dead clever and put it on the screen. The likelihood is I'm just not that clever. But if I do get the chance, it will be there. I will drop links in that bit down there, and I will also put an Instagram post up with tags to everybody that I can tag. I don't have a Ravelry group yet because this is episode 1, but if that's the sort of thing you need, then I will happily put it up there. Just send me a DM on Instagram and we'll have a look at it. So I am coming to you from Leicestershire in the UK. I live here with my 2 children, Abigail, who is 12, and Joshua, who's just turned 8, and my husband, Brad, who I have been married to for 10 years. I smile. I could gush and tell you how wonderful he is. He's all right. He drives me insane, just like everybody's husband does, but I do love him very much. He is a bit of a dickhead, but he's my dickhead. I am a stay-at-home mum these days. I used to be a teacher, and I used to teach in secondary schools. I was a humanities teacher. RE was my specialism, religious education, but I also taught history, geography, English, and at one point health and social care. So I was a bit of a jack of all trades, really. I became a master in the terms of working in social, emotional, mental health difficulties. And I worked with children with those needs. Unfortunately, I had an incident about 3.5 years ago, and that has left me as a wheelchair user. This is my rocking chair, not my wheelchair. And I also have some interesting mental health issues. I am diagnosed with generalised anxiety disorder, which manifests as anxiety attacks. It also manifests as panic attacks, and I also have depression. On top of that, underlying all of this, there apparently is a personality disorder known as borderline personality disorder. Best way to describe that is it is emotional intensity and a huge fear of rejection and abandonment. So, you know, feel free to subscribe and not reject me. That would be great, wouldn't it? I'm joking, like, you don't have to do it just because you feel sorry for me. But if you want to, that would be great. And if you hit the subscribe button, that helps me to get seen by other people. And the reason I am here is not just to share my knitting and crochet and general yarny, crafty adventures, but also because I wanted to talk to people and share how that craft has helped me with my pain levels, my disability, and coping with that. Coping with my change in identity from working mum to stay-at-home mum, and also how it has helped me when I hit crisis point 3 years ago. I am not ashamed in any way of my mental health conditions. They are what they are. I have done nothing to deserve them, but they are here. And so it's about living with them. My biggest support network is my family, but also my craft. And it has helped me through some incredibly dark times, including at one point where I genuinely believed maybe my family would be better off without me. And I survived making that row by row, stitch by stitch. And my motto really is just one more stitch. You can keep going, and that is pretty much how I came to be here now. So, I probably ought to tell you that you can find me, but I think I may have already done it. If I haven't, I'll pop it here. Okay. Or I'll cut that bit out. Who knows? The whittering in the background is the dog because she can see a window cleaner at somebody else's house. I do apologise. So let's get started with why I knit. I won't normally start with that, but I'll talk to you about why I knit. My mum taught me when I was about 11 years old, but my tension was so tight. I was actually bending plastic needles in order to get them back in, you know, when you start a new row. So mum got incredibly frustrated with me. I got incredibly frustrated with me. And in the end, it went in the bin. I came back to it when Abigail was... She was about 2. And I decided that people had stopped knitting for her because she'd gotten that bit bigger, as you do. And she looks so cute in her little jumpers. And I really wanted to make her something. So my friend Jane taught me how to cast on, reminded me how to knit and purl again, and off I went and made a cardigan. I've hunted high and low. I cannot find it. It's somewhere in my house. How rude. But I can't find it. I have been knitting pretty much on and off since then. When I slipped a disc in my back, which is where my problems started, mobility-wise, I had quite a lot of time off work, and my friend Anna taught me to crochet, and that is where this blanket started. This is a rainbow blanket. It is using the, I think it's called the classic colour pack now, and it's Attic 24. It's a really good place to start, actually. Lucy does the most brilliant step-by-step picture and written tutorials. Obviously there's YouTube and stuff like that, but I needed someone to show me in the form of my friend Anna, but also I needed I need a project. I can't just arbitrarily swatch, or my mum's like, oh, just get your sewing machine out and just sew on a piece of fabric. I can't. I have to have a project, and that was my project. None of the ends are weaved in properly, so over time they have worked their way out, and I'm too bloody lazy to sew them back in. Life's too short. When I was teaching, I amassed a rather beautiful selection of indie dyed yarn pets. They are art, aren't they? And they are beautiful, and they are beautiful to knit with, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, number one, they're out of my budget, and number two, I'm too lazy to hand wash. I do hand wash, obviously, but yeah, they take a lot more care than often I am willing to do. Sorry, the dog's just seen the postman. I thought she was going to have a massive woofing session, but she seems to have chilled herself out. This is acrylic. That is an acrylic wool mix, the Starcraft Batik. And you will see me using sometimes hand dyed, but most of the time commercial yarn, because let's face it, not everyone's budget can stretch that far. I have developed a bit of a love of a natural fibre content, so I do love a bit of wool in something if I can, or cotton or something like that. But I have to admit, as much as I would love my morals to be purely supporting indie dyed and independent businesses, I just can't do it all the time. The one way I do it is whenever possible I shop with, not quite my local yarn store, but I shop with Eleanor at Knit Nottingham, who also has a fab vlog. I've had my medication today as well. So she's a really experienced knitter. She knows all the things, and her shop is just a happy place. So wherever possible, I pop over to Nottingham and have a shop there, because let's face it, if we don't shop in our local yarn stores, they ain't going to exist for very long. Brexit. That is the one and only time I will mention that, or it gives me the rage. So yeah, that is pretty much how I came to knit and crochet, and now pretty much it's me. Like, if you ever want to buy me a present, yarn is good. If you ever want to buy me a book about yarn or making is good. And that is what I do. I am hoping that over the course of making these episodes, because I will do more than one, I've just spilled. I'm drinking tea. It's nothing fancy. It is ordinary, bog standard Yorkshire tea, my favourite. You won't find me drinking anything else other than tea. I might have a change from Yorkshire to PG tips, but that's about it. One sec. And then I'm going to put it down so I don't spill it all over myself again. So yeah, now I knit, I crochet. I am trying to encourage Abigail to do it. I think sometimes she just does it to amuse me or keep me happy. But she's made little bits. But she's more into art in terms of painting and drawing and that sort of thing. I shall keep trying. Yeah, so my focus will predominantly be on making all the things, but in a budget. I will treat myself. You will see my Yarndale bag there. That is my number one visit. I go with my mum every year and I absolutely love it. I have met some amazing people. Molly, I'm looking at you, who have become firm friends as a result of going to this place. It's in a cattle market. Great when you use a wheelchair, bit minging on the hands, but I do wear gloves. But yeah, it is, that is, I save up all year. I save £2 coins all year, and that becomes my spending money, and then I treat myself to those things. The rest of the time I stick to, it's a bit weird, it's a bit backwards, I stick to the other stuff, which is what makes up the rest of this, and that cupboard, and some stuff I've got hidden behind the sofa and in a couple of boxes that you're actually sitting on right now. But hey, and I used to make for other people. I don't do that so much now. Takes the creativity out of it a bit. But I do make for myself. So the rainbow blanket was where all of this started, and it introduced me to our wonderful fibre community, which when you are struggling with your mental health, it's pretty important to find your people. So that's it. I am wearing today, if you go on my Instagram, Pocket Giraffe Knits, you will see a full-length picture of this. This is the Weekender. It's Andrea Mowry's pattern and it's incredibly popular. And I have seen people make it in some of the most beautiful hand-dyed yarns. I can't really stretch to a full garment's worth of hand-dyed yarn. I'd love to have that budget. I don't. I'm disabled. I rely on our wonderful welfare state and my husband's wages. So I've knit this with Stylecraft Special Aran. This was a bit of a gift from my husband. He came with me to pick something up. He popped into a yarn shop and he bought me 2 massive balls of this, I think it was Wild Rose. I think it was. In fact, I'm certain it was Wild Rose. And I decided that it would become this when it grew up. And so it is beautiful. It still has wool content. If I try and flash you my boobs, or not, because that would involve standing up, you can see that bright fleckle there? It's not just one colour. It does have that beautiful tonal aspect. That is one of those things that is really, really nice in hand-dyed yarn or small ferb dyed yarns. So I love it. It's got wool in it, and on today, where it's we've had all the seasons today, it's warmed up a bit now, but it actually snowed this morning. It's April, whatever. So you'll have to, I fiddle with my hair and I'm a bit nervous because it's my first time. That's what she said. So it is a really good alternative, and it cost me less than £20 to make this. So that is, it's not that bad, is it really? And I do have still probably, I mean, there were the big 800 gram, 400 gram, big balls. There's another comment there, but I'm going to try and behave because this is my first time. best behaviour, Rachel. So that is what I'm wearing. It's beautifully snuggly. It's my favourite. I made the sleeves a bit short, and they do bug me a bit because I prefer my sleeves to come to kind of like here, which they do when I pull them, but then when I move my arm, it has bubbled a little bit. That is easily, in fact, it looks worse on camera than it actually is, and to be honest, it's going to happen, isn't it? It wouldn't have mattered if I'd used a superwash or whatever. I have seen people doing it in other affordable yarns, one of which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but it serves its purpose. It's beautiful. I have had many a compliment, and I am super warm and comfy. So my aim is to knit enough garments so that whenever I need a woolly layer, I have my own makes. Slowly but surely I will integrate those into my wardrobe. I am all about getting over fast fashion. I was a bugger for it when I was younger. I have far too many clothes. It's actually a little obscene. Part of that is because I've gained some weight. Part of that is because I'm a sucker for, oh, a new t-shirt. Oh, and it's one of the ways that when I behave, camera, when I am struggling a little bit, I do tend to go, oh, I'll treat myself, that will make me feel better. I'll spend some money, that will make me feel better. Inevitably, it doesn't, you get the guilt. So what I do now is often I'll treat myself to some yarn or a pattern on Ravelry, and I go towards making my own wardrobe that way. So I do an awful lot of scouring Ravelry and putting stuff into my library or my favourites. There is zero organisation if you find me on Ravelry and you look in there. It's just put all the things you like in. And also when I'm watching other people's podcasts, I know Amy Florence from the Stranded podcast. She recently released a video that showed all of her handmade sweaters, all the things she'd knitted herself. And yeah, I may have pretty much gone through almost all of those that she made, apart from the one that she got really cross about, and put them in my library to make. I literally don't have enough life. Not enough life to knit all the things I want to knit. But hey ho. So that has been 17 minutes of me waffling on. If you haven't given up by now, cheers. I'm quite grateful for that, because I'd be rather surprised. So I've got my little notes down here of what to show you. So I'm showing you this. This is what started it. And you know what? I'm just sat here and gone, it's bloody inside out. You'd think I'm fucking organised, aren't I? Not. Anyway, so this is what started it all. I absolutely love this yarn. It is a silk cotton mix from King Cole. It's King Cole Finesse. I got it from Knit Nottingham. I learned how to pick up for the neckline, and as you can see, it wasn't perfect, but hey ho, nothing in life is supposed to be. It is, can you see that? Rather large. It's incredibly oversized. I think this is a glacier colour. I think it suits me. It does make my eyes look quite dark, but you know when you're ginger, there are colours that just you cannot wear. Yellow is one of them. It makes me look like I've got a serious liver problem. Red is another, like red and orange. It's not a thing that should happen on my body. This is All the Love by Joji Locatelli. I adore her patterns. Everything she does is just that shape, that style that really suits me. One of the really good things about it is that, yes, it's oversized. So when I do stand up, it covers my mum tum, which is, you know, I grew 2 babies in there. I'm not ashamed of it. But what I am is not happy with it. It's not what I would like to have on my body. So it helps me cover it. But the same with this one, to be fair. And most of the things that I make have that in mind at some point. But, oh, it is the nicest yarn. It's so soft. And it's surprising. It's been one of those staples that I've worn on and off through. We've not had a massively cold winter. It's warm but cool at the same time. That's a bit of a shite review. But it is. It's warm and cool at the same time. It's a beautiful transitional season sort of item, but it has also done me well through this winter. My dog is whittering because she's seen another dog go on a walk. You didn't hear that word. And I absolutely love it. Eleanor really helped me with buying the yarn as well. I was picking up quite a lot. I think I picked up 15 balls, and she's going, are you sure you need that? And this is why local yarn stores are absolutely invaluable, because she was like, I don't think you need that many. So I bought 11, and on there somewhere is one ball left. She was absolutely right. But this comes from the fact that she's an experienced knitter. Not only is she an experienced knitter for herself, but she serves people all day, every day, doesn't she? And that means that she knows averages that people buy. She obviously has to stock things. She can look at a pattern and that sort of stuff. And although I bought this pattern on Ravelry, it's not a shop bought pattern. It's not a pattern I bought from Eleanor. She was kind enough to help me. Now, I am going to say, don't walk into a local yarn store where you haven't bought the yarn or have no intention of buying the yarn from, or the pattern, and ask them to help, because that's just a bit rude. But in this case, I showed Eleanor the pattern, but I bought the yarn from her. And again, I think this came to about £35, which, you know, if you go to Marks and Spencer's, I've got a Marks and Spencer's jumper before I was brave enough to make cables. I paid £35 for that jumper. I don't believe in buying faddy items. I believe that you need to buy stuff that you're going to wear for years and years and years. And when you hand knit something and you put that time into it, it's worth finding a good quality product. Now, don't get me wrong, good quality doesn't always mean that you have to spend a lot of money. But this is a little bit more expensive. It's got that silk in it. It makes me feel so fancy. And it's a beautiful casual sweater. And it's one of those ones that I turn out when I have to go and do the dreaded, you know, school mum thing. Our school's got a coffee morning next month. God, no, it's this month. In fact, I think it's next week. And I shall go and I shall put this on and I'll feel dead fancy and everyone will say how nice it is. And I'll be able to say, well, I made it. While they're all carting around their labels, advertising other people's businesses for free. So that is that. And I do have other things that I've made, but I'm a bit of a slow one on the projects, partly because of my health. I'm getting a drink. Yeah, partly because of my health. Yesterday, for example, I planned to have a cast on party and sit and knit, and it just didn't happen. I came over feeling really, really funny. My heart rate went through the roof. I felt really sick. And it was just exhaustion. And unfortunately, when you battle pain like I do, exhaustion is a thing. It's a real thing. And it comes to bite you. And it's not, I mean, I've had 2 kids and I've had a moment, I remember sitting next to Abigail's cot with my head on the bars. And I was like, please, just go to sleep. I think it was about 4 in the morning and we hadn't gone to sleep yet. I'd made the mistake of going to bed late thinking, she's cracked this sleeping thing. She'll be up maybe twice. No, she woke up for that feed about midnight and I was like, oh, I'll go up when she wakes up for that feed. 4 o'clock in the morning, I was sobbing and I went to my dad. So I've done that level of tired and it's horrific. I am not minimising that. It's awful. But this is different. It is like my entire body just will not function. I can't speak. I can't make my legs do the legging. My fine motor skills disappear and I get incredibly emotional because it's frightening, to be honest. And sometimes I can knit my way through that. Other times I have to accept that it's either scrolling through the phone on Ravelry or it's time to just give in and nap. And yesterday that's what had to happen. I did manage a couple of rows, but it is what it is. So I don't always have a huge amount of finished objects to show people. I am a habitual caster-onerer, or, I mean, what do you call it for crochet? Because it's not really a cast on, is it? A chainer-onerer? Who knows? But I tend to have a couple of crochet projects and a couple of knitting projects on the go. I only have one knitting one. That could potentially be a go-to with the dog. There's a person, human, walking. Is she going? Is she going to come pick me up? Oh, focus. Right. So yeah, so I'm going to save other things that I've made to show off to you at other times. But I will get on to showing you some of my makes. Well, whips. Momentarily. Caroline from PGKnits, she says momentarily. I love the way she says it, but it's like her little catchphrase word. I love it. It's funny. I do watch a lot of podcasts, actually. There's my friends. It can be a bit lonely when you're at home on your own, and I don't have little people, so I'm not like a stay-at-home mum that can go to toddler groups and stuff like that. A lot of my friends work, so I get a bit lonely. And my podcasts are my friends. My favourites are the Grocery Girls. I do like Caroline from PGKnits, Amy from Stranded, because she gives one every week. Knit Three Together, they have had a really rough time just recently, and I absolutely love them because they talk about mental health very, very openly, and they have struggled and are struggling. So it's nice to see that. Nadira Tani, she's another one. Gigi Made It, she's another one. There's loads, and it's one of those things that I am so grateful for YouTube. Oh, Fat Squirrel Speaks is another one. Girls in the Yarn Cafe, and The Corner of Craft. They are pretty much my top ones that I will always search to see if they've got a new episode out that I can watch. Yeah. And I'm going to get on and show you. So one of my little luxuries last year was to sign up to a blanket club with Lindsay from Hooking Marvellous Yarns. I love a blanket. I love a heavy blanket. Gravity blankets are incredibly expensive, and I really feel for parents who've got autistic children or anxious children who are told that a gravity blanket or a weighted blanket would help, because they are prohibitively expensive. I have also been told that for my condition, and a heavy weight on my legs does help. But I have a 23 kilo Staffy. She's not fat, she's just big. She's crossed with like a Labrador or something, and a mushroom. So this, and I'm going to have to sort of wave it across in that beautiful. So this was my blanket club, and I've used the 6-day blanket, I think it's 6-day blanket pattern, and I really like the site. It's like a kind of vintagey style, and it's a rainbow. My favourite colour is rainbow. I don't have one particular colour. I think cornflower blue is probably. I'm on my last colour here, and then I'm going to edge it with the final colour that came through, which was a grey, and I thought that would just kind of box it in and set off those colours. A crochet blanket, there's nothing like it. I get loads of people asking me to make them for babies. When my nephew was born, he had about 6 because I got a bit hook happy. But yeah, it's beautiful. It is, obviously it's hand dyed, it's superwash, it's merino, it's heavy because it's wool, and I think this is double knit. In fact, I'm certain it's double knit. But look at those colours, and look at that colour change. It's stunning. Excuse me one second. Izzy, no, come on. For the first time in your life, you're allowed on the bed, and now you're walking around the floor being an arsehole. Told you, I swear. Predominantly my dog. So yeah, I mean, look at that colour. Look. Isn't it stunning? And I have enjoyed making this so much. The dog's an idiot. She's so rude. I'm in the middle of something here. Oi! Come on, you. Up. You You going to come and see us? Come on. Oh, beautiful. There she is, look. She's gorgeous. Say hello. Absolutely not getting on my lap though. Come on, settle. Really? Sit. She's sitting on everything. I'd stacked it all up. I was dead organised and everything. Look. Anyway, back to the blanket. Lindsay is so talented. I mean, just look at that. She's so clever. And just like that colour. Oh, and I just love the fact that it's got those tones to it. It's stunning, and it's probably going to be my most favourite thing that I've ever made. You can't just sit and whistle. No, I do love you. Right, so in order to, I'm just going to remove the dog, excuse me. Sit down. That's it. In order to frame it with this, my wonderful mummy brought me this book. This is probably going to be backwards. So it's Crochet Borders, and it's, I think it's Edie Ekman. I got it on, well, my mum got it from me, from Amazon, and it was $12.99. It was a little bit of a present from her. 150 different edgings. The problem is that I have to like choose what I'm going to edge it with, and I don't want something too boring, but also I don't want to overpower the beautiful colours. I'm trying to find something to show you now. Look, like, isn't that lovely, on the edge of a shawl or something? You can do so many creative things. Look at that. Now I have got a ball. Well, I've made a giant ball out of the leftovers. So I never used for any of these all of the ball. Some I have slightly less. I don't know, just look at the drawer, I think, and my tension. So what I think is, you see something like that, wouldn't that be lovely? The grey and then the colours, if I make one big ball, and then I have, that might be quite nice. But I've got those options. I haven't quite decided yet, because every time I make my mind up, I change my mind again. Pretty. That couldn't go on this blanket, obviously, but yeah, I like that as well. But there's some really pretty ideas, and obviously it's not just going to be for one project. I make a lot of crochet blankets because I am perpetually cold. So that's that. I'm going to take it off my knee though, because apparently it's springtime again now and the sun has come out. Yeah, so that is my current crochet project, but I've had to put it to one side because we have Mother's Day on Sunday. The UK has Mother's Day in conjunction with when Easter falls. It's about coming back to your mother church, and it also meant that girls working in service, so poor girls working in rich people's houses, would return home, and that's where the Seminole cake comes from. They would take that cake home with them with the little almonds on it and stuff. The little Mary Berry does it, and she's got the little marzipan balls around it, and that's what that's from. They used to come home to their mum because they'd be going to their church that they were quite often christened in, and that's where our Mothering Sunday comes from. It's X amount of weeks before Easter. And therein lies your RE lesson for the day. Every day's a learning day. So Izzy's kindly sat on everything now, so it's going to be slightly more complicated. So I decided, rather than cake, because, you know, it's done in it, that I would make, now, I think it's called the Klazenia, I don't know. I will link it down there. And I used a sheepies whirl. I am literally on the last colour change. It's stunning, isn't it? A little bit frustrating. They've done it as best they can, and because I'm crocheting, it's nice that you can, I've only got a little bit. It was a big cake. It's like 2,000 meters or something. But as it transitions, I don't know if you can see it, it transitions a thread at a time. So you have one thread of the new colour, and then 2 threads, and then 3. And it's really, really clever, but it does mean that you get these little fluffy knots where they've joined the new one. So it's kind of ruined my experience a little bit, because I was really concerned when I was chaining or doing something that I knew wasn't going to be covered if this fluff fell in that line. I don't think it's particularly obvious anywhere, thankfully. I think if I looked for a long time, I'd probably be able to find them. So hopefully my mum won't notice. My mum doesn't crochet. It's another reason why I wanted to crochet, because she can't do it. And my mum is like crafty goddess. So anything she turns her hand to, she can do. She makes the most beautiful beading. I'll have to show you one day. The colour was Blackcurrant Squeeze Me. It goes from a silver right the way through, a mint, to a grey, and then a purple, then a tealy colour, and then right the way through to a darker charcoal. So it's a sheepy's whirl. I don't know how to actually say it. I'm sorry. I don't know if this is going to be backwards when you see it, but it's Blackberry Squeeze Me. And 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. It feels really nice. It's a bit splitty, but that's the nature of cotton, isn't it? This was 1,000 metres. So that's quite a lot. It was £20, $20.99. I've wanted to use one for quite a long time, so I had to go to Wool Warehouse because I don't have a local yarn store anywhere that sells sheepies. So I went to Wool Warehouse because they are actually local to me. I don't pay for delivery, I go and pick it up. So they are local, but they are massive. So, you know, local yarn store, look there first. But unfortunately, nobody that I can visit has one. And I really wanted that colour, because I know it's going to suit my mum. Do shush, Izzy. I apologise. She's very needy. She's more needy than babies. So I'm making that for Mother's Day, which has passed, but I did manage to give myself an RSI. I use my shoulders a lot when I'm using my wheelchair, obviously, and crocheting a lot. Yeah. So I've had to take a bit of a break and start knitting again. I've always got something on the go. Crochet I find is actually quite portable because you've only got one stick, but so is knitting if you use circular needles. Swings and roundabouts, guys. So what I have cast on, this is what I did a whole 2 rows. There's 280 something stitches. Is this, and I'm using, I had another ball. Yeah. Holst garn. It came all the way from Denmark, but it was super affordable. Now it's what's the YouTuber phrase? Rustic. It's woolly wool, but I am at prickle manic. I hate woolly scratchy wool, and this isn't. But I have been warned that it contains quite a lot of spinning oil. I will link where you can get this from, or where I got it from. Spinning oil, so it looks a bit flat and a bit blech, but I know a couple of washes and it's going to soften and floof. So this colour is Viola, and it's not a solid colour. There you go, you see. It's got that kind of hand-dyed kind of look to it, doesn't it? But again, this was under £30, including shipping from Denmark. And it's going to grow up to become, I've got my Kindle here. I like to download my patterns onto my Kindle. I had them all saved and everything. The Stockbridge by Vera Valamäki. Do you know what? That's the shawl. Oh, I don't know. It's by Kirsten Bishop, and it's actually free. I forgot to say the shawl is free. Let's find the... You'll have to bear with. I'm a bit... No, I'm not slow. Kindles aren't as fast as iPads, are they? So it's going to grow up to be... Can you see it? The Stockbridge. You can see the blinking chip shop across the road. That's what you can see. The Stockbridge. It's Vera Valimaki. This wasn't a free pattern. I did have to pay for this. But I thought it was a really nice classic lined cardigan. I thought, you know, when you want to start wearing dresses, but it's not quite warm enough. Or you've got a nice blouse on or a nice shirt and you want to just throw something on. I thought it was a really nice classic that will be every day. And because this is, and it just says, I don't know which wool it is, but it's 100% wool. It's going to have that sort of self-wicking. It's going to be beautiful. It's 287 metres per 100 gram ball, which is fab, isn't it? It recommends, it comes up as a light fingering, 3 to 3.5. But I've seen Amy Florence on the Stranded podcast and she's made one of these holding two together for this beautiful mild effect. It's really, really nice. I recommend, if you're interested in this, going and having a look. She's used a grey, but they do have a really good selection of colours. Their customer service is fabulous. I got emails on a Saturday. It was wonderful. And I will probably go back again for the next time I want something woolly. But I have plans and they do not involve wool. Well, they do kind of. Summer's coming, isn't it? And I am one of these awful people that in the summer decides she wants to knit something that she never finishes for the summer. I tend to crochet a lot of garments. I will probably show you next time 2 of the crochet garments that I have made. I love a lacy top in the summer. Both of these are actually made with 100% merino. They were using hand dyed that I'd got in my Yarn Pet collection, in my Yarn Pet shop. And they were, one was Truly Hooked and one was Dye Candy. The bulk of that is either Hutch or Verity. I will link them down there. They are fabulous. Another one, I don't know if you can see them there. Beautiful green and orange. I would pull it, but you know what, if I pull it, it's all going to fall on me and we're just not going there today. And that's from Dinosaur. She's fabulous, but she has now gone to doing more one-of-a-kind sort of thing. She's a full-on proper artist with it. She's lovely as well. Do you know what, they're just really nice people. So my plan this summer is to, I've got a couple of things that I want to knit or crochet. I love a crochet top for the summer because they can be so lacy and so light and airy. Again, Truly Hooked, Verity Castledine on Ravelry. She has some stunning lacy tops that she can make, that you can make, that would be brilliant for the summer, and they're all crochet. She also has a book called On the Hook, which has got some stunning shawls. I actually made 2 shawls from there for gifts to my son's primary school teacher last year and the TA in his class. I'm not entirely convinced that his teacher this year is going to get one. Plus it's a guy. Sorry, I decided to choke myself with tea. What an idiot. I love how when you watch these podcasts people show off their mugs. So this is my mug from Stratford, which is about 40 minutes away from my house. I absolutely love it, and it's lots and lots of Shakespearean insults. I think my husband bought it in the hope that I would use these instead of swearing at him when he annoys me. Thou art a boil, a plague sore. Oh, lump of foul deformity. That's a good one, isn't it? Clod of wayward marl. Yeah. So my summer plans are slightly different. I want to knit that one because I think in the evenings when that temperature drops off really fast, that is beautiful to just throw over a summery dress. I also have a couple. Just let me go on to Ravelry again, of things saved in my favourites that I will purchase at some point. Favourites. So I use Ravelry a lot. Do Be Wished, dog. Do Be Wished. And I'm going to show you this one. This is one that I want to knit. This is a Verity pattern. It's one of her first. Look, the sweater that lived. If you are a Harry Potter fan, as I am, this is a must make, isn't it? Isn't that stunning? But again, I'm going to go back to Hopi. She has my love. And I have currently got on order from Eleanor. You see, you can go to your local yarn store, and if they have a particular supplier, so Eleanor has Serdar, she has King Cole, she has a Portuguese brand that do milk yarn, which is nice and ecological because it uses waste product. But anyway, so I have got on order some Serdar yarn, and I would like to make myself, it's called All of the Lights. Now, Hohi, who's done that, she has made that with hand dyed again. I am going with Serdar again. I think we're coming in at £35-ish, but I have a discount. But I think it's a bit cheeky to use that when you've asked someone to order it in. So we'll see. And that's my Mother's Day present, the yarn for that. So normally I try and keep under £30 for a garment. And then I think I'm going to crochet some more tops for the summer, because I love wearing them. I do love, I've got some shawls that I like wearing that you can just wrap over your shoulders, because I'm ginger, and as much as the weather, like it's sunny now, which is lovely, and it's cool, which suits the ginger. When it gets hot and sunny, I go pink. I'm just a lobster. I wear factor 50 and I just look at the sun. So something to cover me up is always a good idea. I have, however, been known to get the pattern sunburned onto me. And that is pretty much my plans for my yarn pets at the moment. I would also like to make a vault sweater using the batik. I'm thinking I've got enough, I think, just of this grey silver in my stash, and I'd like to make that vault sweater. And I saw the one by Sue Stratford. Oh, we've got some escapees. The one that Sue Stratford, obviously it's Sue Stratford Design, who's done the vault sweater, and it's got the electric bolt that goes across there, and she's got sort of a hand dyed speckle. Now that's going to be difficult to find commercially, but a couple of years ago I did purchase some yarn, blank undyed natural yarn, and I also I didn't buy it actually. I think my mum was like, oh, here's some dye that somebody at my knit club's not using anymore. I don't do knit clubs because if the dog can't go, I'm not going. The anxiety doesn't do people and groups of people. Yarndale, I then have like a week of like, no, I'm not doing new people. So I decided, I'm not very good at rolling the skeins up. No. So I've done 2 of these. Look, mess. It's not beautiful, is it? But look, I even managed to make a couple of speckles. I made a mess as well, but I did make some speckles. And then I tried this one as well. So this is more of a turquoise. What I'm really proud of with this one is, if it will, there you go. You see the greeny tones in there. I don't know how I did that, but it's lovely, isn't it? And I had fun doing that, and I've got a little bit left, so I'm going to carry on playing with that. It might become a bit of a thing. I quite enjoyed doing it. So maybe I can add my, and plus it can be more, if you really like hand dyed, you can use Kool-Aid. It's got the citric acid in it. What worries me is that like people drink that you can dye yarn with it. What would your innards look like? You'd be tie-dyed intestines. So you can get bare yarn at a reasonable price. I know Chester will sell through Wool Warehouse and stuff now. That's not the cheapest because it's still £10 or so a skein. There are places, if you Google it online, where you can buy it reasonably cheaply. Or you can buy it from places like Devon Sun Yarns. And maybe even if you speak to an indie dyer nicely, you could probably buy some off of them. I don't know, I've never tried that. I've been lucky enough to have some of my own. But it is worth saving up if that's something you really want to do, and just have a go. I mean, what can go wrong? Say you make a big splodge. It's not the end of the world, you're still going to use it, right? There's always something. You make socks out of it. Like, at the end of the day, they're only going on your feet. So I'm considering doing that. But probably I ought to walk the dog first. So if you've lasted this long, thank you very much. I probably won't be as rambly next time. I just had to get this one done. I have been planning to do this for ages and ages and ages. I've been talking about doing this. I get that fear of failure, fear of being an arse, fear of looking stupid. So I have just kind of gone with bugger it. And I've done it today while I'm recovering from feeling poorly yesterday. And I hope it's been relatively interesting. I will try and be back next week. I might not have much to show you. I might have loads to show you. Who knows? If the shawl is finished, that probably ought to just go straight to my mum. My sister-in-law's birthday present was like 3 months late. But everyone knows, you know, they love me nonetheless for their sins. So, yeah, all being well, I will pop back next week and show you, hopefully, some progress on some bits and pieces. But until then, now the dog has decided she does want to sleep on the bed, I'm going to get off. Have an amazing week. So, have a fantastic week. Get knitting, get crocheting, get planning. If you can't do either, have a browse on Ravelry or a browse on Pinterest and pin some ideas. Make sure your list is longer than your life expectancy, and I will hopefully see you next week. Stay well, my lovelies, and remember,